Hi guys, this is Dave Bennett. It's December 31st, 2014, and we are continuing our discussion on the amazing list cleaner. We've been calling it a list cleaner, but it's developed into a capture tool by now. So it's a lead capture slash list cleaner, LC, either way you think about it. And we call it amazing because it's really quite good. So I'm going to walk into the guts of it. This is the version 1.6. It's stronger than we had before, and it's more applicable to everything you're going to want. So we had some requests for updates, and one of them was this: do we have to go after geo-targeted keywords? Not anymore. Now you can go after geo-targeted keywords or just regular keywords that are not geo-targeted, keywords without targets, geo-targets. So that's no problem. That's one thing that we did that's different. Okay, another thing we did was this. We had guys ask on the list cleaner if when you're filtering, it doesn't just automatically filter from a PR0 to a PR2, because that means that we're working with newbie website owners, for example. Okay, and guys wanted to know if they could work with more advanced website owners, especially guys who are used to dealing at a higher level. And so we didn't see a reason why not, and we built that in. So now you can select the bottom range and the high end range of your PR. And let me just give you some way to understand that. If a page rank is selected to be a page rank 0 website, or a page rank 1, say, that means the website is quite new. It hasn't got around. Not many people are talking about it. The website owner is basically a newbie. So what's the simple way to understand that? Is that guys who have a PR0 to a PR1 probably can only afford up to $250 tools. They really are going to struggle to pay for your $497 tool by and large. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that that's true for everybody. Just that when you're dealing with guys who are brand new, remember how many of you were in the same boat when you started. You created your very first website, maybe a WordPress website, or whatever you had going. And when you created it, you were still trying to get used to the whole concept of what a website is, how you market online. You probably didn't understand a lot about it. You didn't get a lot of ground covered either, but that also meant you got no sales or very few. And so that 250, that's coming out of your paycheck from work very often, right? And this is the situation a lot of guys are in when they first get started online. And so if you try to offer somebody with a PR1 a tool worth, that's supposed to cost $2,500, okay, you might make a few sales. You might, but you have to go through a lot of people to make those few sales. Even if you're pounding for sales every single day, you might only get one a month if you're reaching out to the majority, where the majority are not doing very well online. Now, let's step that up. What if you could isolate out guys from a PR1 to a PR2? So instead of the low number, okay, it's like, 250, up to 250, right? So I'll just say 250 to 250, it's basically the same thing. Maybe 100 for a PR0, okay, to 250, okay? And that might be the kind of tool that you can offer that group of people, the newbies. Now, does that mean don't go after them? No, it doesn't at all. It just means make sure to offer them tools they can afford and go after lots and lots and lots of them. That could very well be an excellent income stream. Okay. Now, what about guys who are doing, say, a PR2 or a PR3? All right. Now we're doing a little better. We're talking about guys who can afford your 497, say, your 497 tool. Okay. And with a PR3, they could probably even get up into the neighborhood of around, 1250 or so. Okay. They're thinking at this level. They're able to buy things at this level. And again, go after a bunch of those guys and make those sales to those guys in the industry. So do you see? First, we pick the industry, whatever the industry is, online or off, who knows, maybe your industry, and you would kind of define it by the keywords. So it could be like this: make money online. Okay? And it could also be get rich quick. Okay? It's not a problem. There are guys out there who, and this is what they do. Okay, and once we figure out the industry, okay, and this is one way of going about it, right? Moms work from home. Okay, that could be it. All right. So if you're going after an industry like that that's online, then we are intentionally going to look for guys who fit our budget and offer them the appropriate tools for the level of work they do. Now, you might just want to say, I want to hop in here at the level 4 because these guys, guys who are level 4, they're cool with, 6,500 up to 12,500. These guys can take a huge leap in the air. All right, PR3 to PR4, that's a big step up. Guys, you're open to that. You might be more typically thinking around 6,500, just typically. But by the time you get to a PR5, oh sure, you're talking 12,500 and up easily. Very often guys with PR5s are open to large deals, deals that come to maybe 28,000 a year where they're paying, a couple of grand a month and some kind of money down to get something launched, like 4,000 down plus 2,000 a month. Okay, things like that. Okay, and so you get the idea. Now, you might just think, well, don't I want to leap in and aim for this? The answer is, depends on you. Can you pitch something for $28,000? Have you ever done it? Can you pitch it to a guy who knows the internet as well as that? A guy who has a PR5. Have you risen to that level yourself where you've seen success and you've built up your confidence and your awareness of how business looks to guys like that and how they think? Okay? Because guys here are listening with entirely different ears and they respond to entirely different concepts and signals than guys down here, right? They are different psychological groups. You approach them with different psychologies and with different goals, okay? And you also approach them in different industries in different ways. For instance, if guys are roofers, doctors, dentists, lawyers, and I want to go for roofers or plumbers, dentists, okay, then again, these guys might be a little tight, but if they're dentists, roofers, or plumbers, I mean, this is their livelihood. Here, very often, this is hobby money. Okay, guys are like this. This is hobby. This is hobby. This is hobby. These guys can live with or without their business. About the time they're here, they're living off of their business. Part of the reason their psychology changes. Okay, and you can pitch from a need, greed, or curiosity point of view at the right level. Okay, but here, these guys literally depend on their businesses to run, and so many of them are trying to minimize marketing costs, and they are open to listening to this almost no matter what PR they're at. Now, again, it's still going to come back to budget. A guy who's just right here and he's just getting started is hesitant to buy anything for 6,500 bucks. Okay, he's not sure if you're going to rip him off. Okay, he doesn't know because he's new. All right. But guys who've been around a little while have developed some skill and maybe they're up to a PR3 by now and they're listening and they're able to consider concepts that get them to a PR4 or a PR5 or just simply they're able to consider concepts at this level of expense. Now again, is there such a thing as a PR0 guy who is interested at the $6,500 level? Yes, but if you do the math, statistically it's not many of them, right? The majority of people here are affording low. The majority of people here are affording. So you know what? That's interesting. Let's assume we know which industry we want to talk to people. And so we want to go after geo-targeted guys or we don't. Chicago, Atlanta. In the case of geo-targeted industries, right? San Diego. And we want to talk to guys like these about what we have to offer them. Okay? And we want guys here who are at some level of expertise that we feel comfortable working with. A lot of you, it's going to be maybe PR2 to 3 is a very normal range for people to feel comfortable talking. Many of you, if you're newbies, maybe you're still working down in this range, trying to work your confidence level up to dare something a little higher and go after a higher PR crowd, say. Okay. And if you're going online, for the online types, whatever, again, it's a very similar concept. It's just think how they would think when you're going after pitching them, okay? These guys haven't gotten the ground covered yet, but these guys certainly have. Entirely different points of view. These guys have downlines. These guys do not, okay? That's very typical, okay? So again, you want to be able to segregate so that you can make your message perfectly clear to the right guy, and the thing you're offering will really only work for these guys or these guys. Do not think that the same tool that works for these guys works for these because they can afford it. That's not true. The tool that works for these guys is too advanced for the tool or for these guys here, for example. Okay, so just keep in mind, it's not only about cost, it's about what these guys are ready to consider, ready to buy into, ready to think about. Okay, so many guys that say I only get a response rate of 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 2,000 or something are just trying to pitch everyone under the sun, no matter who they are, the same thing. And of course, they're only going to get a response rate of 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 2,000. When somebody talks about improving that conversion rate, they're saying, how can I weed out of that 1,000 or 2,000? How can I know in advance the guys who aren't going to want that tool? Well, that's a combination of getting rid of keywords that don't relate and getting rid of websites that are either doing too badly for what you're offering or too well for what you're offering. Just going after the guys here. And a lot of it with 1,000 to 2,000 guys is people going to forums talking to guys who barely have $100 and have never opened a website. So they're just starting. They're complete newbies and they don't have any real skill sets or downlines or anything to work from, right? And so once you isolate what you're selling, the market you're selling to, and you isolate the level of expertise that market is at, then you can put out much better pitches. And for example, I went after a bunch of plumbers with some pitches and I tried 2 different price points. I was curious. I got one to respond at a $500 level, another to respond at a $4,500 level for basically the same thing. And the 400 or the cheaper level was because I aimed for a guy who, with a message that was a little on the cheaper end. It was literally, let's help you get going. Let's reintroduce you, was sort of it. Let's reintroduce you to the marketplace. Okay. The guy who responded at the higher level, that's because we were talking to a higher level crowd about how they can increase or improve the number of sales, how they can basically double the total sales they make already, okay, by doing more of the right kind of thing. Okay, so this is the right kind of concept. Now, how do we do this? How do we do this efficiently? Because if you see this point of view, then the notion is you can make the same offer to everyone if you can reach through to the right guys. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about right now. And that'll be the next step in this series, is just walking through the exact actions of getting this done. Okay.